This episode of the Stardom Cast is sponsored by Puro TV, your one-stop shop for all your Puro DVD needs. From Stardom to New Japan, from All Japan to Ice Ribbon, as well as incredible box sets documenting the best matches of your favourite Japanese wrestling icons, Puro TV has it covered with new items added every week. And now, as a special gift to listeners of the Stardom Cast, Puro TV are offering 10% off. Simply go to puro-tv.com, use the promo code StardomCast at checkout and get 10% off your entire order. Once again, that's the code StardomCast to receive 10% off your entire order. The link to their website is in the podcast description. And now, on with the episode.
Hey, this is Kevin Kelly. Get ready for the latest episode of the Stardom Cast.
Hello guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wondering Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I'm joined as ever by Matt Turner. Matt, how are you, good sir?
Rob Goodwin, I am fantastic as always, but I'm actually even a little bit more positive and a little bit more fantastic this week, more than usual, just based on what happened to me last week and what I got going on this week. But as much as I was a positive person as I am, I try to fancy myself as a gentleman. So before I tell you all the fantastic stuff going on in my world, I want to talk about you, buddy. You got a promotion at work? I believe you told me, correct?
I've actually got an entirely different job. I am leaving the teaching profession. I'm going to work the closest to us, but one of the closest universities to us. So yeah, I'm going to go work there instead. It's something completely different. I'll start there on the 6th of March. So I've started saying my goodbyes to the kids, which it depends very much whether they like me or not. Whether the kids that don't like me are very much like a thank God, and the kids that do like me are very much like a why are you leaving us, guilt tripping me, which is probably the way that I'd go if I was in their position. But yeah, it's yeah, I'm leaving teaching, and this will be the first non-teaching job I've had in 13 years, which is terrifying.
Well, technically that's not true because you're teaching the masses of the Stardom Cast all your knowledge of Stardom, sir.
Thank you very much. Now, you have sort of led us down a garden path and then shut the gate by telling us that you're even more positive about what's going on in your life and things like that without actually telling us. So please enlighten us. What's going on in the world of Matt Turner?
I wanted to give you the road, sir. I wanted to give you, not the road, the floor there. I wanted to just, put you over and, have our fantastic listeners, excuse me, hear about how well you're doing there, sir. But no, this past weekend was great. I went to go see Ant-Man Wasp and Quantum Mania. I know literally as we get off this podcast, you're going to be running out to go see it.
I am indeed.
So I'm not going to be doing any spoilers, but have you seen any of the trailers for it, Rob? Like, do you have an idea of like what happens, what's going on?
I've got a very, very vague sort of idea of what's going on, yeah.
Okay, just because I have a buddy of mine, he stopped watching trailers like 5-6 years ago, so you can't even like say like, oh, it looks like they're teasing, Riri Williams and Black Panther too. Like you can't say any of that. So,
wow.
Yeah, he goes completely dark. He doesn't want to be spoiled by anything. But anywho, so I'm not going to spoil anything. Of course, this was 2 thumbs up for me. Shocker, right? That's like saying Matt enjoyed. That's like saying Matt enjoyed an Io Shirai match. I absolutely loved it. Everybody in my theater loved it. My wife really enjoyed it. Lily absolutely loved it. For me, what it was, it reminded me of Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four run, where a lot of it is just the family stuck in the actual quantum realm. So that's what it kind of reminded me of, and I absolutely love Hickman's run. I just love Jonathan Hickman as a writer in general. His Avengers run, his X-Men run, the Fantastic Four run. But at its core, what the movie was for me, where it really tug at my heartstrings, and I put an immediate tweet about it when I left the movie theater, is the movie really is, where it got me. The movie really is as a father going to the end of the universe, and a universe he knows nothing about, to keep his daughter safe. And like, to me, that really, really tug at my heartstrings. But this also, there is, I will let you know, there is not one but two end credit scenes. So don't leave after the first one. Yes.
Thank you very much, because that would be the first thing I'd be Googling.
Yeah, and you don't want to miss, because usually Marvel, when they do more than one end credit scene, they give you like the serious one and then they give you the funny one, or vice versa. Both of them are very serious. They both set up so much stuff going on throughout the Marvel universe. So I will keep my mouth shut at that, because I know in a few hours you're going to be enjoying what I thought was an absolutely fantastic movie. So that was that. That was on Thursday. This past weekend, I spent my weekend at Snake Pit USA, the USA headquarters of Catch Can Wrestling, for another blistering weekend of getting double wrist locked and choked and power choked and arm barred and knee barred and this or that. And because of all the time that I spent over at Snake Pit USA, I have acquired enough credits where I am officially a level 1 Catch Can wrestler. So that was very exciting for me.
Congratulations.
So, thank you, sir. So we both got little promotions
there
here.
We go.
I mean, mine doesn't pay anything, but at least for now. But so the real cool. I mean, everybody knows there that I'm a pro wrestler, and one of the main reasons why I'm there is I'm a big fan of just submission wrestling. Whether it be jiu-jitsu or to me, catch is my favorite form of grappling and submission wrestling. But I like to try to take a lot of stuff that I learned at these catch seminars, and try to see where I can put them in, for my pro wrestling. And there is a lot of times where the Coach Joel Bain, who's phenomenal, he'll put like some pro wrestling references in. For example, he said, we're going to start doing some pancrase takedowns. I'm like, oh, that works for me. And then he said, I think one of the next things he taught was, we're going to teach the crooked head scissors. Has anybody here ever heard of Minoru Suzuki? And of course, yeah. So we did, like, if you watch any of Minoru Suzuki's shoot fights in Pancrase back before he became a pro wrestler, back when he had a full head of hair and looked like a model, he won a lot of fights with the crooked head scissors. So he was teaching the Minoru Suzuki style of the crooked head scissors. So that was great. But really the crux of the whole camp for me was, I kind of got asked a few times, like, other than pro wrestling, would I ever think about going, doing a grappling match, like a real shoot grappling match? It's crossed my head once or twice. I just don't think I have enough experience. But I was kind of thinking on my ride home, it's about 2.5 hour ride home, what's my end game with this? Like, what is my, what's my big goal? And Rob, I'm a very goal-oriented person. I always have a lot of ideas, from this podcast. I'm sure every time you look at your phone, you see that I come up as a text message. You're probably, Jesus Christ, what now? I always have so it kind of dawned on me like 20 minutes before I got home, what I really want to do with learning all this catch wrestling, and then obviously my background at the Ring of Honor dojo and the cup of coffee I had at the New Japan dojo, and just kind of how much I enjoy like the legit style of pro wrestling, the UWF, UWFI, All Japan in the 90s, so on and so forth. And I had the idea, and I believe in manifesting things. I believe in putting things out there to the universe and working at them to try to get them, to come to life. And I also believe in the power of the pen. And what I mean by that is, if you have a goal, you write it down. If you keep writing it down, eventually it gets stuck in your head, and you're really going to zero in on that goal. For an example, every Sunday night or Monday morning, I always write down my to-do list of things that I have to do and goals that I want to achieve. And I just cross them off as I go. So the thing that I really want to do with this catch wrestling and just learning all these different styles of submissions, and I haven't told anybody this. I haven't told my wife, my daughter, my best friends, nobody. So I think this is a good forum to kind of call my shot. What I want to do, my big end goal with this, is I would like to compete one day at Josh Barnett's Bloodsport.
Wow.
Yes, I think that is something that obviously it's going to take a lot more hard work than I already have, which I have no problem with that. I think Rob, just as well as I do, those shows only run usually once or twice a year. Usually they always do one at WrestleMania weekend, and WrestleMania next year is in Philadelphia, which is about 90 minutes away from where I live. So that's kind of would be in my backyard. So that's kind of my end goal, is the next 12 to 13 months to try to maybe get on Josh Barnett's Bloodsport WrestleMania weekend for 2024. So I'm going to go for it, man. I'm going to be, putting in more work than I already do. I'm going to be trying to, do some things off the side and, hey, what the hell, right? There's an old saying, there's the only bridge between a dream and a goal is the hard work. And I got no problem putting in the hard work, my friend. So that should be very, very interesting. Something I'm super excited to goal that I'm going to try to achieve. And if I don't get there by next year's WrestleMania, I'm just going to keep trying. I'm not putting in an exact date on it. I just would like to compete maybe one day at Josh Barnett's Bloodsport.
I mean, that's a fantastic end goal to have. I mean, that the very premise of shoot fighting scares me to my very core, but I'm not you. So I can honestly imagine that you will be amazing at that. I look very much forward to watching you when you inevitably get on, because I do believe you will eventually get on that show, whether it is in 2024 or whether it is in the very distant future. I believe you will get on that show, and hopefully one day we will be talking about or previewing your Bloodsport match with Minoru Suzuki. Who knows?
Oh, let's not go that far. I'm not looking to fight Barnett or Minoru. I wouldn't say no, but yeah, so I just want to put that out there in the universe. And like I said, I always believe in the power of the pen. And if anybody has any goals or something they want to do, write it down once or twice a week. And like I said, as soon as you keep writing it, you'll put tunnel vision on it. So now, Mr. Rob Goodwin, I'm going to completely 180 this conversation, sir, because the real reason why I'm in such a good mood is we're going to we just talked about me trying to get in Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, to Love is in the Air in Northeastern Pennsylvania this weekend, as my lifelong best friend this Saturday is getting married, and I'm so happy for him, and I'm so excited for this wedding, and I'm so excited to see all the friends that I've had since I was in grade school that I rarely get to see, just because they've gotten married and had kids and moved on the way, and life just happens. So I'm super excited. I've been best friends with my buddy Jeff since he's 2.5 years older than me, but I mean, since I've been kindergarten, maybe even younger than that, 35, 36 years. So it's exciting. It's going to be an exciting weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend. I think I know I told you, I don't know if I told you this on the air, off the air, but I just assumed when he got engaged, I would be his best man, but he was best man at like 4 or 5 weddings. So he wasn't sure what he was going to do with his best man. So what he decided is he's going to have he has 5 people, and he's calling them the best men, but he wasn't sure what anybody was going to do for a speech. And a couple of weeks ago at his bachelor party, he came up to me and said, look, nobody wants to go after you for the speech. And they just decided his brother's just going to do an intro. His brother's going to do a quick 30 to 40 second intro, and he's going to tag me in, and then it's going to be all me for the speech. Like, nobody's there's no way I want to be anywhere near him, either before or after, because they know he's the pro wrestler. He's going to blow it out of the water. He's got the better stories. He can articulate better. So I was like, okay, that's fine with me. And then last week I was sitting on my couch right next to Amber, and he calls me. He goes, hey man, I got to talk to you about the wedding, and I don't want you to be mad at me. Now, Rob, I don't need to tell you, it takes a lot to really upset me, especially when it's my lifelong best friend. I can't remember a time that I was ever mad at him. And he said, yeah, I'm just letting you know you have 5 minutes for the best man speech.
Wow.
I was like, you want me to cram in 35, 36 years of us join at the hip best friends in 5 minutes? He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, that's what you have. And Amber kind of, because she only heard what I was saying, didn't hear what she was saying. And she's like, what's wrong? So she goes, I told her, I got 5 minutes for this best man speech. And she goes, thank God. I've been hearing about your guys' friendship all the time for the past 10, 11 years. She's probably the only person that's happy about me getting 5 minutes. So I'm going to have to figure it out. But I actually just got off the phone with him a little bit ago. He's just, poor guy's nervous about this or that, and this is going wrong and that's going wrong, and that's just what happens on the week of your wedding. But I think what's so cool is me and the other best men of the wedding, we got him he doesn't know yet, he won't know until Friday night at the rehearsal dinner, we got him a cameo from Megadeth lead singer Dave Mustaine.
Oh, fantastic.
So I got it sent to me a couple days ago, and I didn't watch it. I just don't. Even the one I sent you for Christmas with B. Priestley, I was like, I can't. I feel wrong watching it before I give it to the actual person. And literally, it came up, and I was going to give it to you a day or two before Christmas. I was like, I have to give this to him now. So I think I literally came across my email, and 5 minutes later, I sent it to your inbox. So I've been sitting on this cameo in my email box for like 3 or 4 days now, and I'm like, I cannot wait to give it to him. Just kind of give him a little pep talk from one Dave Mustaine. So I'm super excited about that as well.
Now, obviously, we wish him nothing but the best, and I hope you have a fantastic time. I'm sure I'll see lots of drunk photos, which are some of my favourite photos of Matt Turner, who has a great drunk face, by the way, guys, for those who don't know. I'm going to ask you a big question. Now, I think I know the answer, but obviously, we've heard you talk a lot about Megadeth on this podcast. I'm intrigued. If I was to say you are to sit in one camp and one camp only, are you Camp Metallica or Camp Megadeth?
You can't do that to me. That's like when people ask me, are you Brett or a Sean guy? Are you, you're like, no, I can't do that. If I had to choose, it would be Metallica, just because my favorite artist goes Ozzy, and Black Sabbath is locked in at number 1. Metallica's 2, and Megadeth's number 3. But whenever somebody asks me who my all-time favorite member of Metallica is, I tell them it's Dave Mustaine, because he pretty much he wrote pretty much the entire first album of Metallica's first album, Kill 'Em All, and then they threw him out of Metallica because he was too violent. So when somebody says who's the most talented person or your favorite person that's ever played in Metallica, I go, it's Dave Mustaine. I
mean, the guy is incredibly talented, to be fair. There's obviously a lot of stories about Dave Mustaine out there, about, his personality and things he's done. But as an artist, he's incredibly talented. And I'm a big Metallica fan. I never really got into Megadeth in the same way, but I appreciate just how good they are. And there are some albums that they've released that have been incredible. But that aside, Matt, let's start talking about some Stardom. And before we get into all of the news and all of the shows that we're going to talk about today, let's talk a little bit about the Stardom Cast Extra, our Patreon. Matt Turner, what is coming up on our Patreon?
This Monday, we released, and by we, I mean you released the watch-along of Shiri versus Utami alternate commentary, just because it took about 3 or 4 different takes to get that up. So
we got there eventually.
We got there. We were getting really good responses on it, and thank everybody for hanging in there with us. In the camp, we literally just recorded yesterday. Rob and I recorded the last match for the alternate commentary for Rivalry Month. And you picked a doozy, my friend. Kagetsu's final match, as Kagetsu teams with Mayu Iwatani to take on the JK Green team of Momo Watanabe and Jungle Kiona. And then literally after we got done recording, about an hour later, I recorded KAIRI versus Io Shirai, their rivalry review. So those 2 episodes are in the can. They will be up. They both should be up by next week. Well, the alternate commentary, that'll be up on Monday, and then the Io versus KAIRI, that should be up either the end of this week or beginning of next week. So lots of cool stuff there. Before I forget, because I've been meaning to say this whenever you give me this Patreon segue for the last 3 weeks, and I keep forgetting to. Yes, we are doing a contest for the Cinderella tournament, very much similar to what we did last year. Now, here's how this is going to go. You can win up to 3 different ways. Way number 1 is, first of all, you have to have the overall winner. That has to come in for you. Doesn't matter what you have, semifinalist, quarterfinalist, whatever. You have to have the overall winner. This is exclusive to the Patreon members. So if you're a member of the Patreon, congratulations, you are entered the contest. If you're not a member of the Patreon, just $1 gets you into the contest. Now, if you get just the overall winner right of the Cinderella tournament, I will be shipping out to you a Stardom Cast sticker and an autographed by me Stardom Cast business card. Now, if you don't want an autograph by me, if you think I'm a terrible wrestler, terrible about this podcast, you think I know nothing about comics, then just tell me, like, Matt, I don't want you to sign it. It's no big deal. You will not offend me whatsoever. However, if you get the 2 people in the 2 wrestlers in the finals correct, and again, the finalists right, you will still get the autograph business card, the sticker, and then you will be able to go on to our merchandise page and choose a t-shirt of your liking, and I will send that to you as well. Now, here's the big thing, Rob. Here is the big thing. If you can get this part number 3 right, not only do you get the previous gifts that I just mentioned, but you also will get a quick sketch of any Stardom wrestler you want from my daughter Lily. And that would have to be, you'll have to get the 4 semifinalists correct, the 2 finalists correct, and the overall winner correct. Folks, it only cost you $1. I think that's well worth the money.
I mean, what else could you want? I mean, first of all, no one is going to think you know nothing about comics, Matt. Like, let's be real here, buddy. And obviously, people don't think you're a terrible wrestler. I've seen some of your matches. There's no chance you're a terrible wrestler. But I mean, what else could you want for $1? I mean, $1 gets you entry, just all of those prizes that you can possibly get. You know, plus it's a good time. It's always fun. A tournament is always more fun. Like, this tournament's going to be great. We're going to run through the bracket very quickly in a moment. But a tournament is always fun when you have a little bit of investment in the winner. So get yourself joined in. We've been waiting for the bracket as well, which hasn't helped. And obviously they announced everything and then still didn't give us a bracket in English. So we've had to work it out. But yeah, we've had to wait for that. So, but again, Matt, the amount that you do on the Patreon is absolutely astounding. And honestly, I can't wait to see what Lily designs for people.
Yeah, and it's going to be your choosing. So whatever you want. If you want like a Tony Storm, if you want a Mayu, that's going to be your choosing. Now, if there's like 20 winners, folks, give me time. I'm paying for all this out of my pocket. I'm trying to sock some money away for this kid's college. So just bear with me. You will get your gift. Before we get off the Patreon segment, let's talk about what we have going on next month. In the month of March, we have Momo Watanabe March Madness. The poll is still up on my Twitter page. You can vote obviously, for the white and red belt tier Patreon members. The top 2 get picked. We have Momo's 2021 5-star run. Even though she didn't win it, she made it to the finals, which as of right now, that's winning by a landslide. Momo Watanabe's 2018 Cinderella win, speaking of the Cinderella tournament. Artist of Stardom run with Momo, Starlight Kid, and Saki Kashima that just ended at Dream Queendom. And I put this on the Patreon. This is the 3rd time, and this one's in dead last. I think it has 1 vote. Momo Watanabe and Utami Hayashishita, Goddess of Stardom run. I just don't know why this and Tam's white belt run, nobody wants me to review. So whatever. It is what it is what it is, man. I was like, what? Are you serious? Usually anytime we put anything like Tam, Arisa, or like Kairi up on the Patreon, it's like people go nuts for it. It's like, I don't know. Maybe they're just sick of Tam. I don't know. But also we are going to be doing for alternate commentary, we're going to be doing 4 Momo Watanabe matches, and I gave Rob a homework assignment. So right now, Rob and myself are going to pick, he's going to pick 2 matches. I'm going to pick 2 matches from Momo Watanabe's extensive catalog, and those are the matches that we are going to watch and do the alternate commentary. So, Mr. Rob Goodwin, I'm going to give you the floor. You pick the first 2 matches, and then I'll pick the next 2 matches, and then we'll figure out, doesn't matter, any way order that we do them in the month of March. So what are the 2 Momo matches that you have, sir?
You are far too kind. Well, first of all, we've got to do a Momo versus Jungle Kiona match. I mean, it just makes sense, especially as we've just done the JK Green match. So I'm going to choose their match from the 3rd of March, 2019. So that'll be my first one. And then my second one is the 23rd of May, 2018, Io Shirai versus Momo Watanabe, the start of that historical white belt run where she takes the belt off Io. So that is where my head's out with those 2 matches, Matt. I'm interested now. Obviously, you told me yesterday on the Patreon that you'd got like a list of about 9 matches. I'm interested to know if those 2 were on the list.
Of course, my number 1 is from May of 2018.
I knew it would be.
Momo versus Io Shirai. My number 2 match on the list is I wanted to do a tag match. We did a tag match yesterday when we recorded, but it kind of wasn't a proper tag match. It was kind of like there wasn't really any dynamic heel versus babyface thing there. So the tag match we're going to do is Momo and Starlight Kid challenging FWC, Hazuki, and Koguma from March of last year of World Climax Night 1. And I know we're doing a Momo versus Io match for the white belt. What the hell, man? It's our podcast, even though it's everybody's podcast. Let's do we're going to do the one for 3 months prior. I'm going to put that one for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. Momo challenges Io Shirai. That was in February 18th, 2018. So you're going to get double. Maybe we'll do those back to back so you can just see the progression. So we'll do Momo versus Io from February, and then Momo versus Io from May.
I mean, if you're happy doing 2 Io Momo matches, and obviously the Stardom Cast listeners are happy doing 2 Momo Io matches, then obviously I am all down for that match. If you do want to change it, though, I have got a backup plan just in case. So yeah, we'll let us know, or me and Matt will talk off air, and we'll let you know. But yeah, it's exciting times. I'm very much looking forward to Momo Watanabe March Madness. A nice highlight on the Black Peach mat.
Absolutely. So that'll be that should be fun as the snow starts to melt.
Absolutely. Now, just quickly, just before we get on to today's news, just want to thank our latest Patreon member, Keith Slater. Thank you very much for joining our Red Belt tier. If you're interested in joining our patrons, then please patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. You can join for as little as $1 and you will get these episodes early and ad-free. We're sort of trying to start integrating new stuff, and obviously there's going to be a big Patreon relaunch in May. But I'm slowly but surely trying to get back on top of making sure that Patreon patrons get our episodes at least a day early and without the advert at the start. So again, if you're already subscribed to our Patreon, thank you so much. Your support literally means everything. Thank you so much. Let's delve into some news then, Matt, before we kick into some of these cards. And we've already mentioned it, we might as well kick off straight away with the Cinderella tournament. And we have the first round matches and the bracket announced. Now, Stardom, because they can't make anything easy for us, have announced 36 people for this tournament, which you've already mentioned is the largest field in Cinderella tournament history. It makes, and I don't know how good people are in the Stardomverse with maths, but trying to get 36 people into a single elimination tournament, damn near impossible. So there are some very janky looking brackets, especially for me, who is trying to do an editable one so that me and Matt and Amber and Kirsty can all do our predictions. But the matches are as follows. So as I read these down, this is the order in which the brackets are as well. So down one side, the first round matchups are Utami Hayashishita versus Nene Takahashi, Maika versus Momo Watanabe, Julia versus Mai Sakurai, Azumi versus Hazuki, Mariah May versus Rina, Shiori versus Tomoka Inaba, Momokogo versus Saki Kashima, Saya Kamatani versus Mayu Iwatani, and then Lady C against X, a mystery an entrant that we don't know as of yet. So, Matt, obviously that's the left-hand side as I look at it of the bracket. There's some really, really tasty matchups in this first round of the Cinderella. Stardom seem to be spoiling us with the matchups. I mean, for me, straight away the two that jump out are Saya Kamatani and Mayu Iwatani, and then Maika and Momo Watanabe. Two very, very good matchups. And Azumi Hazuki, of course.
Sherry versus Tomoka Inaba. There's a lot there. Even Mariah May and Rina. Was it Rina or Hina?
Rina.
Yeah, I mean, Rina on these shows we're about to review, she's really. I talk about her whenever we get to see her wrestle. Obviously, she's not on every show because of school, again, priorities. But she's just so super impressive these last handful of months. And Mariah May, we knew really nothing about going into this year, and she's super impressive right out the gate. So, like, I'm not expecting like Steamboat Flair between the two, but I think it's a match that's going to get it's kind of lost in the shuffle until the match happens in the ring. You're like, oh yeah, these two are really, really good. But yeah, I'm looking at these first round brackets. I'm like, holy jeepers, Stardom. And then they give us like this card for this pay-per-view coming up next week. I'm like, okay, like my heart can only take so much, like.
I mean, the card announced for the final of the Triangle Derby, which is the pay-per-view you're referencing, like that's effectively, no disrespect, to B-level pay-per-view, and we have got an absolutely outstanding card for that. That's going to be incredible. And obviously we've talked about this. We've got Azumi versus Suzuki in the first round. We've also got Julie versus Mei Sakurai. That's going to be really, really cool for the dynamics of Donna Del Mondo. Obviously, Mei Sakurai seeing Julia as some sort of mentor. That's going to be really cool. We don't know who that mystery entrance is. Of course, we haven't got you from 7-Up, not you, Matt. And we haven't got Waka Tsukiyama, who seem to be the big omissions. I know that obviously you has got about 55 tag belts, so he's probably defending them during this. So that's probably why she's not in the tournament. But we've also got in the second round, obviously, the winner of Utami and Nene versus the winner of Maika and Momo Watanabe, which, assuming one of them isn't a time limit draw or a double elimination and therefore a double elimination, then we could have Utami versus Maika, Momo versus Utami, Nene versus Momo. All really, really, really cool second round matchups. On the right hand side of the brackets, then, so the other set of first round matchups, we've got Starlight Kid versus Haruka Umasaki, Amisori versus Yuna Mizumori, Himika versus Tam Nakano, Ruaka versus Natsuko Tora, Mirai versus Hanan, Saya Ida versus Miyu Amasaki, Natsupoi versus Mina Shirakawa, Tekla versus Koguma, and then Hina against the second mystery entrant. Again, Matt, some fantastic matchups. Himika versus Tam, that's going to be great, though. Obviously with Himika's imminent retirement, I do see Tam winning that or a double elimination. Starlight Kid versus Haruka Umasaki, I'm very much looking forward to that. And that all Cosmic Angels match between Natsupoi and Mina Shirakawa, that has got drama written all over it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then again, another, I just talked a second ago about kind of a hidden match lost in the shuffle until the bell rings. The one on this side for me is Mirai and Hanan. Obviously, Mirai she's absolutely fantastic, and Hanan gets better by the moment. She just became a better wrestler now than she was when we started the podcast, because she's literally better every second. So I think that's a match too. I think that's going to turn a lot of heads in this tournament. But yeah, I mean, obviously Stardom's got one of the most jacked rosters in all of wrestling, and then you throw this tournament with these matches, and then you kind of throw is it 10-minute time limit plus the over the top rope thing, so you kind of have a lot of different variables going into this tournament, and then you have the two X's as well, so I mean you don't know what's going to happen there as well.
I mean, looking at this bracket, like, there's no real bad matches, and obviously, knowing what we know now, and obviously we'll talk about the pay-per-view announcements at the end of the show. Obviously, I know that your Cinderella winner was Hazuki. I'm intrigued, Matt. Obviously, we will release a bracketology episode where we go through this card and sort of give our winners match by match and so on and so forth. Now, the brackets have been announced. We'll do that soon, but I'm just interested to know, Matt. You don't need to sort of show all your cards, but do you still think Hazuki is winning the tournament, or has current sort of circumstances shifted your eyes somewhere else?
Yeah, it certainly has. Obviously, the Mina Shirakawa thing is something, but given on what happened this past weekend, and considering the fact there's unfinished business in the Saya Kamatani run, I'm throwing something crazy out there. I'm not putting any money on. I'm not locking this into to our bracketology. I'm going to say one of the X's is KAIRI. KAIRI wins, and then at the Yokohama show, we finally get the KAIRI Saya white belt match to conclusion. I mean, I think if you're going to finish off that little mini feud, what better place to do it than at the Yokohama Budokan, or the Yokohama Arena, excuse me.
Wow. I mean, this does sort of, if that's the case, your entire bracketology.
But what do I know?
Yeah,
what do I know?
If that is the case, your entire bracketology does fall apart if the entrants are announced and one of them isn't KAIRI. But I might be nice and say, do you know what, Matt? If it's not KAIRI, you can have a contingency plan. But yeah, I'm very much staying with Mina Shirakawa. I feel like it's going to be Mina's tournament. Although you look at who she's got to take on. She's one of the wrestlers who has got to go through a second and third round, not just a second round into the quarterfinal. So, yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that goes. And we'll have a little bit more Cinderella talk as we go through this podcast, and obviously when we release our bracketology episode and previews closer to the 27th I believe, of March, either the 27th or the 26th. I know we've got back-to-back Yokohama Budokan shows with New Blood Premium. So, as we get close to there, we will obviously do our preview episode. And next, and the last bit of news I just want to go through, shout out to Scotty Wrestling, friend of the show. I just want to highlight a tweet that he put out that says, basically, Stardom in Showcase Volume 4 will not have a pay-per-view option and will only be viewed on Stardom World at a later date. So the first Stardom in Showcase show not to have a pay-per-view option. I did read underneath that Armani Shoe Exchange said that it was potentially due to a lack of buys, which I can understand. I think both of us have said, Matt, over the time that they've been running these Stardom in Showcase shows, if I have the choice between this and actual Stardom pay-per-view, then I'm buying the Stardom pay-per-view and not the Stardom in Showcase show. And I feel like the more pay-per-views they put out, the further down the totem pole these slide. And I feel like, especially as you've got New Blood Premium, you've got the Triangle Derby final, and you have got the Cinderella opening round, which I anticipate is going to be another pay-per-view. That's 3 pay-per-views you're running in March. I imagine having this on top of it in the last weekend of February might have just been sort of stretching the dollar just that little bit too far. However, it might just be a case of it's not working on pay-per-view. Maybe we'll just make them events on Stardom World. Either way, what are your opinions on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. The Stardom and Showcase, they're fun shows because they like Stardom in the Quantumverse. Hey, how about that? Hey, there we go. It's
what
like
a lovely little segue.
Wow,
Love
it. Look at that. Yeah, so I mean this Stardom and Showcase card looks a little bit more appealing to the eyes than the other ones. But yeah, just with all those potential pay-per-views coming up, and then you got to keep in mind the first week. That's right. You the end of March, beginning of April, you're going into WrestleMania weekend, so you have not only the WrestleMania shows, which if you're hanging by the Turner household or going to Papa Turner's giant party on Sunday, you got to save up for the beer fund, my friend. So not only that, but then you have all the other shows that are going to be on Fight as well. So you're going to be spending a lot of money on wrestling in the month of March and the beginning of April, and it's all going to be fantastic wrestling. But if you're going to cut one, I think a lot of people would probably cut the Stardom and Showcase show. I think what they should do is very much like the New Blood shows. They should do it live stream on YouTube.
I can't see what Stardom are losing from that, to be perfectly honest. I can't imagine, and again, this is no disrespect, I can't imagine the buys for the Showcase shows are that good anyway. And you mentioned it, ironically, this is probably the first Stardom in Showcase show that they've done where there's actually been a little bit of storyline advancement and actually looks a little bit more like it's going to play into Stardom as a bigger concept rather than a standalone, shampoo match. But yeah, I think that going the YouTube route would be perfect. Again, it's more sort of live streamed stuff that proves Stardom can do it. So yeah, we'll go through what Stardom has in store for us on that show from Kobe on the 26th of February. But I just wanted your opinion on whether you think this is going to be a one-off. Do you think this is just because of the sheer glut of pay-per-views that we've got coming up? Or do you think this is the way they're going to do it going forward? Taking your personal point of view out of the equation for a moment, do you think that Stardom in Showcase 5, whenever that is going to be, do you think that goes back to being a pay-per-view, or do you think that this will just continue to be just an additional show?
I think that they're going to go back to pay-per-view. I think it's just because of the sheer magnitude of everything coming up, maybe that they bumped it off. But yeah, I guess we shall see, sir. But I'm going to say that Stardom Showcase 5, Still Alive, is going to, that's what they should name it.
Absolutely.
I think that's going to go back on pay-per-view.
Let's look at some of the shows that have been going on then. And we're going to start with New Japan Battle in the Valley 2023 from Saturday the 18th of February from the San Jose Civic Center in San Jose, California, in front of a reported sellout of 2,155 people. There, of course, is only one reason we are talking about this show, which we're going to get into in a moment. But Matt, am I right in thinking you just watched the semi-main, or did you manage to catch any of the other matches in the end?
Yeah, I just caught I watched. Now this show started 10 o'clock my time on Saturday. To say I was exhausted from night one of Catch Wrestling would be an understatement. So I ate, took a shower, went to bed. I woke up around 5, and I just went to the Kyrie versus Mercedes match. And then I was like, I will watch the rest of the show when I get home on Sunday. I came home on Sunday, showered, drank a beer, wrote down my goals, which we just talked about, and I got halfway through the Eddie Kingston and Jay White match, which you told me was fantastic. And the next thing I know, Kyrie versus Mercedes was starting, and then the next thing I know, Okada was in the ring with Mercedes. So yeah, that's as far as I got. So to answer your question, I do want to go back and watch it. I have to watch the Elimination Chamber. I have all this great Muda retirement shows, 9 through 54 that I have to watch as well. So there's a lot I got to do, my man. I got a wedding. It's crazy. It's crazy. But no, man, life's good. But yes, that's the only match I watched. I actually watched it twice. I absolutely loved it. And the fact that it was like a day or two before Mercedes was doing an interview, and she even said, I hope I don't butcher these names of these Stardom wrestlers I want to wrestle, because everyone's gonna come after me. She goes, but I want to wrestle Julian. I'm like, okay, that's Julia. That's our champion. And then she called Azumi before AZM, and this time she called her AMZ. I
Yeah.
was like, oh boy. I was like, oh boy. And I was like, I'm thinking she's so smart. She loves the Japanese style of wrestling. Like, it's got to be a work, right? Like, it's got to be a work that she's mispronouncing these names just to kind of like plug the internet trolls. And then she comes out in full Hana Kimura gear, to the fuzzy boots, to the exact color, to even doing Hana's entrance when she would like do the entrance like Tokyo Cyber Squad style, where she's on the middle of the rope and she's got the gas mask and she does like the shimmy with the shoulders. And I'm like, I really think she's working us by saying she doesn't know how to say Julia and Azumi. Like the fact that she absolutely now I know her husband is the seamstress for WWE, so that's why her gear is always fantastic. So I'm assuming he did her gear for this one, but he absolutely nailed everything about Hana. So I'm like, right from the get go, I'm like, okay, like I was already in for this match. They can literally ring the bell and go to the finish, and this is going to be at least 4 stars for me. So kudos to Mercedes for just showing love to a person that we all love on this show and we all miss dearly, the late great Hana Kimura, just keeping her legacy alive. I thought that was great. And considering the fact that the two of them have never worked in the same company together. You know, Hana obviously worked mostly Stardom and stuff in Ring of Honor, where Mercedes Sasha was mostly in NXT and WWE. So considering the fact that these two probably have never crossed paths before or been in the same building for a show, the fact that she paid tribute to Hana like that just was really warmed my heart.
Yeah, it was fantastic. As soon as the lights went down and we were ready for this match, the entire venue exploded. There was such hype for this match, and we'll talk a little bit about Mercedes in a moment. But yes, I did see the show with Julian and AMZ. But she has also come out and said that she was a big All Japan Women fan, saying she was inspired by people like Bull Nakano, Akira Hokuto. So, you know, I don't know if it is a work or if it's just getting the names wrong. I mean, hell, go back to the first podcast that me and Chris ever recorded, and I think I call her AMZ, so, or AZM or something. So yeah, we'll let her off. But what I didn't want was then for Mercedes to turn up. There was ring rust and her to have an absolute clanger of a match. I was like, oh, please don't let that happen. And it wasn't in any way. She came out with the Hana Kimura gear, and I thought 2 things. The first thing I thought was, this is an incredible tribute. What a tribute. The second thing I thought was, there's no way she's not winning now. You don't come to the match representing Hana Kimura in such a beautiful way, which I know that a lot of people found a really touching and beautiful tribute. You don't come out like that and then lose. And then finally, the last thing I thought was, because she got such an incredible reaction, as you would expect. But I was like, oh God, poor Kairi. Like, you know, Kairi came out second. We've just had this enormous reception for Mercedes Mone. And I was like, oh my God, no one's going to care about Kairi at all. And I'm glad that I was wrong. because there was huge KAIRI chants at the start of the match. There was a big pop when she first came out. Perhaps not quite as big as Mercedes Mone, but that's sort of to be expected, but still a really, really, really good reception for the champion. And as soon as we locked up, we had maybe the first couple of seconds, it was a little bit slow, and then we burst into life. And for the entire 26 minutes and 47 seconds, I was invested in this match. I thought the two women worked incredibly well together. We told a fantastic story of Mercedes bludgeoning and brutally attacking KAIRI's arm. And then we had the finish with the Moneymaker, which I think was the move she was attempting to do at Wrestle Kingdom 17 in 45-inch heels. But she nailed it here. We had the table spot. I mean, hell, she went all out considering this is the first match that she's had in 9 months. Like, Mercedes Mone held absolutely nothing back. And then, of course, she ended KAIRI's reign at 90 days to become the second IWGP Women's Champion. I mean, Matt, what a match. I mean, it was the best match on the card by a distance. And when you've got an Okada Tanahashi match as the main event to come after this, that's saying something. And it wasn't a bad Okada Tanahashi match by any stretch of the imagination, but this was match of the night by far. I thought Mercedes Mone knocked it out of the park. I thought KAIRI was fantastic. I think it's the best match KAIRI's had back since her return. It was a real impact as well to see KAIRI pinned, because that's the first time we've seen her pinned in Stardom. Everything about the match worked really, really well. They gave them the time that I wish they'd been given at Wrestle Kingdom. It was put in a prominent place on the card, which I wish it had been at Wrestle Kingdom. This was almost like the first defense of the IWGP Women's Championship. It was almost like, yeah, there was that defense at Wrestle Kingdom, but look, this championship, it's the semi-main event. We've got Mercedes Mone. Just try to forget that KAIRI's already defended it once in a 5-minute match at Wrestle Kingdom, but Mercedes Mone. But overall, I absolutely love this match. 4.5 stars. The emotion, the drama, the story they were telling in the ring, the kickouts, the near falls were fantastic. And again, considering Mercedes hasn't been in a ring, well, in front of people in 9 months, I thought she knocked it out of the park, Matt.
Yeah, real quick, Rob, you said this is probably your favorite KAIRI match since she's been back. You like this better than the Mayu match?
Ooh, now then.
Because I was in the same spot. A lot of people said, do you think this is KAIRI's best match since she's had back? And there's no wrong answer. You can like whatever you like. I think every match she's had has been really, really good. But I put the Mayu match above this, and then the Saya 30-minute draw.
I know you love the Saya match.
It's tough. It's tough for me. It's kind of, they're splitting hairs, but I do like them. And a lot of people did say this is KAIRI's best match. They liked it better than the Mayu match. I know how much me and you both praise the Mayu match, but I like the Mayu match better. So I was just wondering, did you was it a slip of the tongue, or are you just caught in the moment here, or like what match did you like better?
And obviously, you know, anyone that's listened to this podcast for any length of time knows how much of a Mayu mark I actually am. I feel like it's 1A, 1B. I feel like maybe the Mayu match just. I feel like the occasion of the Mayu match, with it being to crown the first champion, might be top. I am a little bit soured at the fact that Mayu didn't win. I felt like it was there for Mayu to win, and maybe that's souring me slightly, but I think both these matches were great. I know that you liked the Saya time limit draw a smidge more than me. Still loved it, but I know you liked it a smidge more than me. So yeah, I feel like depending on what day, these are interchangeable. Maybe the Mayu and KAIRI match just.
Yeah. So just my quick. I mean, you've pretty much hit all the big points. So just a couple quick things for me. One would be that when so Mercedes came out and got the big entrance, and then KAIRI came out, had a big entrance as well. But once the crowd like settled down and before they locked up, they chanted Mercedes and they chanted KAIRI. And go back and watch. There was more when they were doing like dueling chants in the beginning before they locked up. The KAIRI chants were a little bit louder than Mercedes, which I thought was very interesting considering the fact this was taking place in San Jose, in America, where obviously Mercedes, Sasha Banks, whatever you want to call her, is a bigger name. So I thought that was interesting. I thought it was interesting how they could have worked this match babyface versus babyface, or even if Mercedes wanted to, when she was putting the match together, they could have had Kairi do a little more heel stuff, considering it was pretty much Mercedes' match. But there was not a lot of things. There was some crooks in this match that Mercedes was doing as a heel. Now, I think Mercedes is a much better heel than Kairi. That's not saying I don't think Kairi is a bad heel. I just don't buy Kairi as a heel. I think she's just such a great babyface, and Mercedes Sasha's a very good heel. But there's even that spot, Rob, where Kairi towards the end is just laying it on Mercedes, and she goes for the cutlass, and she pulls the referee in front. And that poor referee
took it full bore.
He took it. Yeah. Hey, man, semi-main event, brother. You got to take that. And I was like, oh, why are they doing that? This isn't WWE. This is New Japan. This is Stardom. Why? I don't like this in here. This is WWE stuff. And then it kind of made sense because they wasn't any, dusty finishes or anything like that. It was just because they were on the outside so long that was the excuse. There wasn't a double count out. And the whole big spot for the outside was for Mercedes to take a power bomb off a table through a table where there was next to no padding. So I thought that was something really huge. And then they teased the falsies with Kairi. Couldn't hit the insane elbow. Mercedes couldn't hit the frog splash, the tribute to Eddie Guerrero, her hero. But I thought it was great. Yeah, 26 minutes, which I didn't even realize. Like when they were getting towards the end of the match and they said 25 minutes have passed, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It felt like I blinked. And here's something else very small in the match I don't think anybody really recognized. And this is just a credit to just the respect Sasha has for Kairi. Mercedes wins. She's the new champion. They hug. Kairi puts the belt on Mercedes. Mercedes leaves and gives Kairi the ring. For something of a Japanese culture, that is something so small that is huge. Now, obviously, Mercedes got the big thing with Okada at the end, but the fact that she gave Kairi the ring after she just won the belt, and Kairi put the belt on her, that just goes to show you just how much respect that Mercedes has for not only Kairi but the women of Stardom. So I'm super excited to see what happens next. And per Big Dave of the Wrestling Observer, who's only burned me once really bad on Stardom news in the last 6 or 7 months. He's pretty much said that on the 9th of April, it's going to be Azumi challenging Mercedes for the IWGP Women's Championship.
Yeah, well, in the press conference that Stardom held, where they were announcing the matches for the Triangle Derby final, Azumi actually made a challenge to Mercedes Mone, so it's definitely happening. I can't imagine that you'd have Mercedes Mone mention Azumi and then Azumi mention it back in the press conference for it then not to happen. I do imagine that'll happen. I imagine Mercedes Mone will retain there. And then who she faces on the 23rd of April at the Yokohama Arena, I don't know. I know that Mina Shirakawa has thrown her hat in the ring for a match. I'd love to see a Mayu match. It's a case of, do you have Mercedes now take it around America and defend it? I know that Miyu Yamashita from TJPW is currently in America. Is it for the next 2 months? And I know that she was someone that Mercedes Mone called out when they said, who do you want to wrestle in Japan? So that seems like a tailor-made title defense right there. Whether it actually happens or not, I don't know. But it seems like Mina Shirakawa will probably get one. Which one would be at the Tokyo Dome? At the Yokohama Arena, I imagine something like Mayu versus Mercedes would be an incredible draw, especially as you're looking to fill a huge arena, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just so excited for Azumi because that's going to be happening, I think, at the Sakura. It's going to be a New Japan show. So I think it's Sakura Genesis. So I know they renamed a whole bunch of their shows, last year. So regardless, a lot of new eyes are going to be on Azumi, and they're going to see what we've been seeing for the past 2 or 3 years, just how phenomenal the high-speed bomb girl is. And Sasha Banks, I got all our Mercedes Mone. I have all the respect in the world for her. She's fantastic talent. Great job in this match. I agree with you, 4.5 stars. But if they're going to have like a high-speed style, lucha style match, oh boy, she better have the working boots on because, Azumi is she's the best at that style. But regardless, I'm super excited for that match. Yeah, obviously, the outcome of that It's very easily determined, but I don't care. And I'm just so excited for it because I think Azumi, after this match, she's going to be she's going to be even a bigger star than she already is. Because again, a lot more eyes are going to be on her. She's going to be on a bigger show, wrestling a huge star, especially someone that's got a lot of name value over here in North America. So I'm so excited for Azumi to get this opportunity. And we all know she's going to knock it out of the park. Azumi doesn't miss.
No, and just to sort of piggyback on what you were saying, the 8th of April is Sakura Genesis, and that's from Ryogoku. So, it's another chance not only for Mercedes Mone to impress with the belt, but it's also another chance for Stardom fans to hear Mayu say Ryogoku Kokugikan, which is always a highlight for us Stardom fans. Just final thing before we move on. Final two things. We talked about this on our preview show, and both of us said, now, Mercedes is winning. And actually, someone on Patreon, I can't remember who it was, I think it was Darren on Patreon, said, there's no way they'll do that. Kairi's only just had the belt. And then, obviously, once this match had happened, everyone was sort of giving it the flowers, which, it deserved. There was a small handful of people on Twitter saying, Stardom have done Kairi, or New Japan have done Kairi dirty here. Just two questions, Matt. First of all, do you think Kairi has been done dirty here with her 90-day reign? And secondly, do you think that it's the right call to put the belt on Mercedes Mone?
I don't think they've done her dirty here. If you remember, Kairi wasn't even supposed to win the belt. It was supposed to be Mayu. And then it was kind of like, well, Mayu's doesn't want to, she wants a better contract, which again, we talked about it when we first found out. Good on her, because Mayu deserves every single penny that she wants and then some. So, again, putting the belt on Kairi as kind of like your option B, not a bad idea, sir. But I think that I don't know when they knew they were getting Mercedes Mone in. And it might have been sometime maybe after Kairi was crowned champion, that I don't know. But at the same time, when you have something, the hottest free agent in women's wrestling history, maybe, I don't know if history, but in a very long time, maybe history, where, she comes to you and says, like, I want to wrestle for your company, and you have the opportunity to get this belt on a huge, huge global star like Mercedes Mone, how do you not pull the trigger? I think this is a win-win situation. I think, obviously, if Mercedes won, which she did, again, you have the belt on a phenomenal global star that's fantastic in the ring. If not, you put the belt on Kairi. I don't think anybody's complaining because everybody likes Kairi. So I don't think they did her dirty. I guess if you're going to say the only thing that oh man, I don't want to be negative because I'm so positive, but Rob, you're making me. The only thing they did her dirty is they gave her and Tam freaking 6 minutes at the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, it's something that both of us voiced our extreme displeasure about, but that aside, I feel like they didn't necessarily make up for it here, because I would have liked to have seen Tam get the recognition she deserves, and Kairi, of course, at the Tokyo Dome. But I feel like this was a fantastic make nice. And as I think it was Ian Riccaboni on commentary, they actually said, like, Kairi's name is forever etched into the record books now. She was the inaugural IWGP Women's Champion. No one can take that away from her. She was the first. And I thought that was a nice touch as well. The fact that, yes, she's lost the belt, but she will never lose the fact that she was the first champion. And that's something she can hold on to. And hopefully we get a lineage of the IWGP Women's Championship that goes on and on and on and on and on until they decide to merge it with some other random belt for some unknown reason, like they've done with their own title. But hopefully we get this huge lineage and Kairi will still be that number one champion. I think that's a nice feather for her to have in her Pirates hat. But yeah, overall, thought it was a great match. There was one moment which I forgot to mention, actually, which was Sasha Banks catching the cutlass and turning it into a submission. That was beautiful. That was very much chef's kiss. Love that. Let's move on then, Matt, because we have our final night of Triangle Derby block action. And this took place from Korakuen Hall on Friday the 17th of February 2023 from the aforementioned Korakuen Hall in Tokyo in front of 1,126 people. Now, before we talk about the matches, we actually had a a procession of trainees. 3 Stardom trainees, in fact, have passed their pro tests, and they are as follows. Komomo Minami, who is 19. All of this information, by the way, comes from @1222 Dragon Moon on Twitter, who is a fantastic follow if you don't already follow them. Minami is 153 centimeters, 50 kilograms, and is very much interested in a high-speed style. The second was Hanako Ueda, who is 22 years old. She is 181 centimeters, so her and Lady C tag team could be on the card. She's 75 kilograms and is known as a College Wrestling Association star. And then we've got Sakura Ishiguro, who is 26 years old, 158 centimeters, 52 kilograms. She is a karate black belt, an ex-action actress, and a Miss ID 2020. Just to sort of play into that, there was a shot of 4 more trainees in the crowd, and Dragon Moon goes on to say that Rossi Ogawa said in a Shupro article published at the end of last year that there were 7 trainees in Stardom. So the ones watching on the balcony and maybe the remaining 4 who simply haven't passed their pro tests yet. Velkage, who is a source of fantastic knowledge and helps us significantly with background information on this podcast, has a little bit more information on Hanako Ueda, who has wrestled before. So basically, Velkage says that one of the new rookies, who is Ueda, has trained elsewhere before presumably joining the Stardom dojo to do the protest. And her University Pro Wrestling club name was Risa Fela, which sounds incredibly close to Risa Sarah. And she's also wrestled against Risa Sarah. So there are a couple of matches that you can find on Twitter, and I believe there might be some buried somewhere on YouTube. So there is some stuff of Ueda out there, but overall, Matt, obviously one of them, I can't remember which one because I forgot to note it down because I'm an idiot. One of them decided to challenge Julia for their first match on the roster, which I thought was bold. But Julia came out, chastised them.
Sakura.
Was it Sakura? Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew it was one of them, and I thought it was Sakura, but I was like, I'm not going to say it just in case it wasn't. But Julia basically chastised them, saying, "Do you know who I am?" Then agreed to the match anyway. So Sakura is going to get the bloody hell beaten out of her, I imagine, by the World of Stardom champion. But Matt, what was your thought on this new recruitment of trainees that we're going to be seeing in action very, very, very shortly?
First of all, I disagree with you. I think Sakura is going to destroy Julia. I think Julia hits the Glorious Driver. She kicks out at 1. Lariats, burning hammers, puts her through a flaming table. No, yeah.
Jesus.
She's got guts. No, congratulations on passing your protest. I know the dojos in Japan are very, very, and is rightfully so. When I hear about somebody's training and they're being trained the right way, the disciplined way, with all the squats and all the push-ups and all the stuff like that, all the cardio drills. I'm assuming that's the way that Stardom is. So the fact that there was 3 of them in this crop, congratulations on passing your protest, and with 4 more kind of in the wings. I'm really excited to see where they're going to go with this, because Stardom, the roster is already so loaded, and now they're going to have up to 7 homegrown talents. So it's going to be exciting to see where they go. And again, we talk about this all the time. When you're a wrestler, doesn't matter if you're wrestling 1 year, 5 years, or 20 years, the best way for you to get better is by reps and to be in the ring and be mentored by people that are better than you. And when you have a Mayu, a Julia on your first match, a Mayu, a Julia, a Hazuki, Utami, et cetera, and you're going to be in the ring, or not even in the ring, but in the same dojo or in the same locker room, where somebody's going to pull you aside and say, "Hey, here's what you did right, here's what you did wrong. Maybe try to do this different this time, this different the next time." As long as they're willing to pass down their knowledge, and I'm assuming that they are, I think these 3 to 7 rookies in the next year or 2 are going to be something really, really special. So congratulations on passing your protest, and hey, good luck, Sakura, in that match with Julia. Oh boy. That was something. But I tell you what, man, if you're gonna go out, you're gonna go all out. I tell you what, 20 years ago, I didn't have the part of my language, the balls to call out. I just graduated from the Ring of Honor dojo. I want the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. I did. I believe Samoa Joe was the champion at the time, but I was like, even though Joe kind of was one of the trainers, but like, yeah, Joe, I'm challenging you. Like, can you imagine? Like, oh
God.
boy.
Having seen Joe's match with Kenta Kobashi, like there'd just be nothing left of you, Matt. Then who am I going to do the podcast with? Let's run through the results then of this show, and then we'll sort of go through the matches that we want to talk about. But in this match, there we go. Sorry, my notes had minimized. They're there. So we started with a 4-way tag team match with the Donna Del Mondo team of Himeka and Maika defeating Mariah May, Mina Shirakawa, Fukigen Death, and Rina, and the Queen's Quest team of Lady C and Miyu Amasaki in 8 minutes and 5 seconds. We then move on to our final glut of Triangle Derby block matches. So all these are from the Triangle Derby. Gold Ship moved to 8 points, defeating Unique Glare, who remain on 6 points, with the Kish Kasai in 9 minutes and 41 seconds. 7-Up moved to 11 points, defeating Lollipop, who remain on 0, with Mizumori pinning Waka with the Tropical Smasher in 13 minutes and 1 second. Classmates did defeat Queen's Quest, moving to 6 points. Queen's Quest staying on 9, with Hazuki pinning Saya Kamatani with the vertical drop brainbuster in 10 minutes and 17 seconds. Rebel and Enemy moved to 8 points, defeating H&M's, who remain on 2 points, with Miyu Yukihi getting the pin over Momokogo with the fantastically named Sulala in 10 minutes and 30 seconds. In the semi-main event, Cosmic Angels moved to 10 points, defeating Aberembo God's Eye, who got their first defeat in the tournament and remain on 10 points, with Tam pinning Amisori with the Violet Screwdriver in 12 minutes and 44 seconds. And then in our main event, the Prominence team defeated Barry Bombers, moving to 10 points, with Barry Bombers staying on 6 points, with Suzu Suzuki pinning Mai Sakurai with the Tequila Shot in 13 minutes and 48 seconds. So what did that mean in terms of the blocks just before we go into the matches themselves? Well, it means that out of Red Block, going in first place will be 7-Up, who, with their record of 5-1-1, are on 11 points. And Cosmic Angels pip Queen's Quest to the second place with their record of 5-2, moving to 10 points. In the blue block, the teams going through are Aberembo God's Eye, who go through top with their record of 4-1-2 in 10 points, and Prominence in second place with the record of 5-2 and 10 points as well. I'll go through the rest of the blocks in a moment, but Matt, overall, I felt like every single person on this card raised their game significantly. And I know that there was cheering at Supreme Fight at the start of the month, but whether this is just a smaller arena, whether the Tokyo crowd inside Korakuen Hall is just naturally a louder crowd and the atmosphere is better, it just felt like this was a real Stardom show. It felt like the wrestlers were feeding off the crowd energy and vice versa, and that led to several really, really good matches.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody was over. Everybody, just shows you how great the Stardom roster is. Everybody got a reaction, and a positive. Even like the heels, they got the reaction that they needed. I thought Mike and Himeka, was really great to see them. Because we're getting to every day that goes by, we're getting closer to that Himeka retirement. So the fact that they're teaming her and Mike up a few times before the end really, really warms my heart. And like you can tell, the Korakuen crowd was they were really excited for that. I think one of the wrestlers that got over the most, we've been saying this since cheering's been back, Waka in that figure 4 with Nene Takahashi, it was like Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat, and they were the crowd was trying to will Ricky Steamboat to get to the ropes. Oh my God. And the fact that like you hit a splash and then Yuna hit a splash and then Waka was selling it, was trying to get to the ropes, that crowd was ballistic to try to get Waka to the ropes. I was like, holy jeez. Like was one of the most over in the entire show. It's unbelievable. And now that they have cheering back, and we talked about 5 or 6 months ago, like, is the bloom off the rose on this Waka thing, because is it panning out too far? But I think with cheering coming back, and with the inserting Nanae Takahashi, her coming in with all of her experience and how great she is just adding to the Waka story, and the fact that Tam is ready to pull the trigger and kick her out of Cosmic Angels, and that there's this new group with Mina Shirakawa that she may invite her in. Oh, what an interesting dynamic! And then you throw this super hot crowd in. I mean, it made that match so much better, did it not?
This match really, really exceeded my expectations. Now, I found myself in a very difficult position with this match, because on the one hand, I needed this match on loud to hear the crowd reaction for Waka Tsukiyama, because Matt's absolutely spot on. The crowd reaction for Waka is incredible. It's one of the biggest pops of the entire show. And Mina as well at ringside. I don't know if everyone notices, but Mina was incredibly behind Waka. And I know that they are obviously still in the same unit at the moment as part of Cosmic Angels, but it does sort of, make of that what you will. But I found myself in a very strange position, because I wanted it on to hear the support for Waka, but it was also Nene Takahashi and Rina Amakura in the same ring, which they are the two loudest on the roster, and I feel like because they felt like they needed to ramp up the noise even more, Jesus Christ, there were points of this match where the noise was far too much from these two. I don't know what it is that makes them scream, but please, God, stop. Luckily, it didn't impact my enjoyment of the match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought, the more I've seen Lollipop, Rina Amakura's noise aside, I think all three of them have gelled incredibly well. They're an incredibly underdog babyface team, and considering they've gone 0-7 in the tournament, haven't got a point, Waka has eaten every single pinfall, I doubt you will find a more over team, and especially a more over wrestler at the moment in this entire company than Waka and the Lollipop team, who got an incredibly huge reaction, probably by proxy of being in the same team as Waka, Matt.
Yeah, and it's nice that this might have been the first time on the Stardom cast we had a prayer. Rob said, "Please God." So chalk that up on your bingo card. Yeah, I thought the everything was really good there. You knew where it was going, but this is just continuing the story. Again, a New Blood Premium. That's the last day that Waka has to try to get a win, and it's against Nanae Takahashi, an absolute legend who tortured the bejesus out of poor Waka here. But yeah, this Korakuen crowd, and I think I told you yesterday when we were recording the alternate commentary. So wait till you watch it, because it was a great card from top to bottom, regardless. But being in the legendary venue of Korakuen Hall with cheering, with every match being hot, with every wrestler getting over, just made it for one of the better Stardom shows of the year. And I know we're only 7 weeks into the year, but still, you can't, when you have an atmosphere like that, it just makes a great show so much even better.
Yeah, it was an extremely enjoyable show. I gave this 3 3/4, Matt. It was one of my favourite matches on the card, and whether that was simply elevated by the drama and the crowd interaction in that drama, I don't know, but I was fully invested in the match. I saw, you go into these matches now knowing that Waka isn't going to win, but you still bite on those pinfalls. You still actively encourage her to power through and get to the ropes. But even so, I thought this was a really good match, Matt. What did you give it?
I had the same 3 3/4.
Let's talk then. Obviously, I know that we haven't talked about Gold Chip and Unique Glare, which was, to be honest, considering it was an Oedetai versus Oedetai match, it was a very, very good match. There was limited interference aside from Unique Glare jumping the bell, but overall, I thought that was really fun as well. But I want to talk about Classmates and Queen's Quest, who in 10 minutes and 17 seconds managed to put on the match of the tournament, in my opinion. It's very, very rare we see Saya Kamatani taking a pin. In fact, I don't think she's been pinned clean since the 5-star. But not only is she pinned cleanly in the middle of the ring, but Hazuki then challenges for the white belt. Finally, we get that Hazuki white belt challenge that we desperately hoped was coming. Unfortunately, I don't see her winning it, much as we both want her to, Matt. But overall, I thought the stuff between Koguma and Azumi was great. You got Hazuki, and who, again, we've talked about this before. Hazuki doesn't seem to realize that there are days where you can take it a bit slower, because she laid into Saya Kamatani during this match. Some of the kicks, the DDT and the code breaker, just, she put everything into them. And if she brings that fire to that match, holy mother of Christ, that match is going to be incredible. And especially as it's been put on a card that was already loaded, this elevates that card spectacularly. Hazuki versus Saya Kamatani, plug it into my veins, Matt.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hazuki, we talked about it a couple months ago when they did like a kind of throwaway battle royal where everybody was like taking it easy. And Hazuki comes in and just kicks everybody's face off.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, she's going to ramp it up here because this is Queen's Quest. They're the creme de la creme of Stardom. So not only that, but you're building towards a white belt match, a very important match at a very big pay-per-view. So of course she's going to ramp it up. And not only that, but she really needs to get a really significant win over Saya Kamatani to challenge for the belt. Just the psychology just makes sense. Obviously, Rob, I'm heartbroken. Queen's Quest does not only do they not win this, they don't even make it to the semifinals. So me being the positive person I am, I'm going to put a positive spin on this. So obviously Queen's Quest, they're not in, they're not going to win. Breaks my heart. The positive spin I'm going to put on this, and I hope for what I'm going to say, it heals my fellow Queen's Quest fans. The positive spin on this is that we get Saya Kamatani versus Hazuki for the Wonder of Stardom Championship, and on the same show, Azumi defending the High Speed Championship versus Starlight Kid. So Rasi Ogawa, I accept your apology, and I will take that as a consolation prize.
I mean, we did say, didn't we? I mean, I know that when the blocks were first announced for this tournament, we did talk about what could be in a Queen's Quest versus Aberembo God's Eye final. I do still think that Aberembo God's Eye will eventually win the tournament. But yeah, I feel like once it was announced that Azumi was going to be taking on Starlight Kid for the High Speed Championship, and that would potentially mean Azumi wrestling 3 times on the same card, I feel like that pretty much told us that Queen's Quest weren't going through. We did sort of highlight the Classmates match as a potential slip-up anyway for Queen's Quest. Obviously, Classmates had only won 2 matches at that point. They now have won 3. They were eliminated. They didn't have anything to play for, but even so, I felt like all 3 women did incredibly well on the Classmates side. And the same for Queen's Quest, who, by this point, we expect nothing less. I gave this 4 stars. It's one of the matches that I actively encourage you to go and check out. And this is sort of why I've liked the Triangle Derby. They've just been fast-paced, really entertaining 6-woman tags, because often, like, the way Stardom structure their cards and the way a lot of Japanese promotions structure their cards, we do get a lot of, in inverted commas, throwaway 6-person tags. And I feel like this has highlighted the very, very best of what we can get from these 6-woman tags. And this is another example with these 6 women in the ring. You're going to get a really good match. And I felt like this was a really good match, man.
Yeah, I had it 4.25 stars. I was thinking about dropping it down to 1 star just for the Queen's Quest losing.
Yeah, of course.
But obviously I'm a huge fan of Hazuki. I'm kidding. Yeah, 4.25 stars. This was great, and I'm very interested to see once this tournament ends where our top 3 or 4 or 5 matches are, because I'm trying to even think off the top of my head what would be my top matches. But this might be 1, 2, or 3. I'm not sure, but yeah, this was great. And, they did a great job of not only just having a terrific match. Sai Ida here looked fantastic. They had a great opening with Azumi and Koguma with some high-speed action. So, you don't get to see a lot of the high-speed stuff from Koguma. She does a lot of the comedy stuff. And then if she's in a team with Hazuki, they do a lot of the FWC stuff. So it was really cool how they started that out with, like, oh, yeah, Koguma's a really good high-speed wrestler. She is the high-speed genius. So I thought that was good. And then, yeah, just Hazuki just really bringing the fight to Saya Kamatani with some insanely stiff stuff. And it was a really good back and forth between the two, but ultimately it was the brain buster that did the Wonder of Stardom champion in.
Let's talk a little bit about Rebel and Enemy versus H&M's then. Obviously, I think I misspoke in the previous podcast by saying that Mayu Yukihi had already accepted the World of Stardom Championship challenge laid down by Julia. It turns out she hadn't. She accepted it at the end of this show. But the focus in Rebel and Enemy has rightly, in my opinion, been on Maya and on Ram Kachau for, to a lesser extent. But I felt that here, Maika Ozaki was given a really good platform to perform here and knocked it out of the park because her exchanges with Mayu were brilliant. Really thoroughly enjoyed their exchanges. I mean, there was the moment where she rolls out of the way and she's slightly too far for Mayu to do the drop kick during the combination, and they play it off really well, but it was clearly just a little bit of miscommunication, but that really made me laugh. But aside from that, I felt like she had pace, she had that frightening speed that Himika possesses, she was hitting hard lariats, and I felt like Mayu was the perfect base to sell for her here, and she hasn't had a lot of opportunities to show what she's really about because, as I mentioned before, we've sort of focused on Yukihi and Kai Chao, but I felt like she was the centerpiece here, and she did incredibly well, even though it was Yukihi who got the pinfall over Momokogo, Matt.
Yeah, when we previewed this match, we thought we were going to get a bunch of Mayu versus Maya stuff, and really not really. They kind of just paired Mayu off with Ozaki, and like you said, they had a really good exchange. But Maya and Hana, that was really the bread and butter for me in this match. Again, I can't sing the praises of Hana enough, and the fact that she's only 18 years old and is that good, that quick. It's just, what's she going to be in a year or two? Just absolutely it's astounding just how stacked the Stardom roster is. But to me, that was really the crux of this match. And obviously you knew that Mayuguchi was going to get the win here to, just keep building her up towards that match that she's having with Julia here in a few weeks. But yeah, solid match. Everybody looked really good. Obviously, Mayu is just crazy over, especially in Korakuen Hall, just because of the absolute classics that she has put on in that building and that will continue to put on. But so that, obviously helped ramp up the match a little bit. Match in over, 10 minutes, 30 seconds. Didn't overstay its welcome. Did what it needed to do. Excellent job, all 6 ladies. I had it at 3.5 stars.
Yeah, I had it at 3 3/4. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Again, one of my favorite matches on the night. Cosmic Angels and Aberembo God's Eye. I learned 2 things from this match, Matt. Would you like to know what those 2 things are?
Rob Goodwin, I would love to, good sir.
Well, the first is the referee Daichi Murayama is perhaps the most over person in Korakuen Hall. He got an incredible cheer when his name was announced, which I thought was lovely. And that Korakuen Hall, the crowd is a lot of bloodthirsty people because they are incredibly partial to a Natsupoi beatdown because the crowd were possibly at their loudest during this match as Shiori is kicking Natsupoi, basically kicking her into touch, very much trying to convert her into the front row for our NFL fans out there. Poor Natsupoi got absolutely bludgeoned by the combination, mainly of Mirai and Shiori. But yeah, very much another incarnation, another installment in the Natsupoi beatdown tour, Matt, this match.
Yeah, but I think as of maybe the past 2 or 3 weeks, I think Shiori has become the front runner as the president of the Natsupoi beatdown tour because everybody beats her up. But it's like when she snaps her over, you're just like, oh man, it's coming, and you're literally I'm just gonna turn the volume up just a little bit. Like, I love Natsupoi, obviously I love Shiori, I love hard hitting action, and it's just a combination of how hard she hits, the crowd reaction, and then Natsupoi just has like the best sell. We were just like, that was awesome, and then like, oh man, I feel so bad for Natsupoi.
It wasn't even that though. It was the fact that Shiori did it to one side of the ring, realized the reaction she got, so did it on the other side of the ring as well. Yeah, bless her.
That's crowd psychology 101. That's like we talked about it yesterday when we did our alternate commentary with the rubber band spot. It was Mayu, our Momo was lucky that it only happened on 2 sides of the ring. It could have been 4 because it got a reaction. So that's the point. Is lucky she only got kicked twice here by Shiori, at least at that segment, because she gets beat up quite a bit here. But I thought this match was great. Again, I can't put over how much I'm enjoying Saki. Not Saki Kachima, but Saki, who's, from Cosmic Angels here. I thought she's great. I think she does a great job being the third tier person, the bronze medalist if you will, in this group of Cosmic Angels. I thought her stuff with Sherry was great. Like, Sherry comes in and she kicks the crap out of Natsupoi, and Saki comes in and is like, I'm going to get revenge for you. And she comes right in, like right off the hot tag, and just boots Sherry. I was like, is that really a game you want to play? She played it with Sherry and she hung her own there. But yeah, I thought this was great. And considering the fact that they're going to run this, I think they're running this one back, right, in 2 weeks?
Yes, they are. They are indeed.
Yeah. You can kind of tell they were holding just a little bit back. I was like, man, I had it at 4 stars. I loved this match, but there was just seemed like there was something missing, and I'm like, maybe that's why. Maybe they're holding back just a little bit for the semifinals of the tournament. But at the same time, one of these teams is going to have to wrestle twice. The fact that this match went almost 13 minutes, I wonder if it's going to go that long, especially with a loaded card. Like, are they going to go? Is this one only going to go 8 or 9, and maybe it's going to be run as almost like a high speed style match, or they're going to give it more time where they can kind of have this play out a little bit. I don't know, but I thought it was great. I was a big fan of Mirai and Amisori's tag stuff, as well as Tam and Natsupoi. The Meltier stuff just gets better and better, and that's pretty much how like the Cosmic Angels got their first advantage of the match, was with some Meltier double teaming. So yeah, excellent stuff here. And I'm excited for them to you're basically going to get an instant rewind, comeback on this one. And I thought it was, I liked how this match finished with like the triple super kick on Ami Sori. So Ami Sori is probably the biggest, strongest person in this match. And they had a hit, not the Meltier double super kick, but it was a 3-way super kick with Saki in there. And then Tam quickly scoops her up for the violent screwdriver. I thought it was super impressive. And that got a really good pop as well. So yeah, excellent match, 4 stars.
Yeah, I give it 3.5. I did enjoy it, but I am with you. I do think they held something back, which makes sense. Obviously, now that we know that is the semi-final. The main event was Prominence versus Barry Bombers, which again was a match that we thought was probably a foregone conclusion. Obviously, Barry Bombers couldn't get through. Prominence needed either a draw or a win to get through, and got that win with Suzu Suzuki getting the win with Tequila Shot. Similar to my opinion of the Rebel and Enemy and H&M's match, where I felt like the highlight was, and the spotlight, was placed onto Mike Ozaki, who hadn't had a lot of the spotlight in this tournament. I felt like the spotlight in this match was on Kurumi, and I thought she did tremendously well. There was one point where I can't remember who was bridging. I think it may have been Tekla, but I can't remember off the top of my head. And she's bridging in some sort of... Oh, it was a bridging pin. It was Tekla. And Kurumi literally just picks her up and body slams her. And I love that. That's what she should be there for. That's what she brings to that team. Overall, this was fine. I think it was probably on as the main event simply because we had that Yukihi acceptance of Julia's challenge. Not the strongest match on the card, but still a good match. I gave it 3.5, Matt.
I liked it a little more than you. I had it 3 3/4. Yeah, I mean, you have Julia in there, who's the champ for right reasons. You have Suzu Suzuki, who's awesome. You have Risa Sayre, who's awesome. We've been talking about Hiragi, but how well she's been in this Triangle Derby. To me, she was the MVP of this match, and you hit everything dead on, my friend. Yeah, they did a really good job putting a highlight on her, and it makes sense going into the pay-per-view. It's just like, Risa's over, Suzu is way over. They did a great job slowly building her up in this tournament, and then for her to get this win on a team that has, your World of Stardom champion, main event of Korakuen Hall, was a really good job getting her a whole bunch of big momentum going into the semifinal of this pay-per-view coming up next week.
Absolutely. And obviously we talked a little bit about how Mayuki came out. She accepted Julia's challenge for a championship match, a World of Stardom championship match, and that will be taking place at the finals of the Triangle Derby, and we'll run down that full card in a second. For those who want to hear it, this is how the blocks ended up. So obviously, Red Block, as I've already said, 7-Up and Cosmic Angels are your two teams emerging from that block. 7-Up, 5-1-1 at 11 points. Cosmic Angels, 5-2 on 10 points. And then the eliminated teams, Queen's Quest in third with 4-1-2 on 9 points. Club Venus in fourth, 4-3 on 8 points. Unique Glare, 3-4 on 6 points. Same with Barry Bombers, 3-4 on 6 points. And then H&M's propping up that group, 1-6 on 2 points. And then in blue block, we had Aberembo God's Eye winning the block 4-1 and 2 on 10 points. Prominence in second, taking up the second semi-final spot with 5 and 2 on 10 points. The eliminated teams then a little bit more competitive. Gold Ship ended on 4 and 3 on 8 points. Rebel and Enemy the same, 4 and 3 on 8 points. My Himi with C, 2 and 5 on 4 points. Classmates 3 and 4 on 4 points. And then Lollipop, the only team in the two blocks to not get a point, 0 and 7 with 0 points. Now, Matt, I'm going to put you on the spot simply because I have not seen yet the show from Tokorozawa. Now, obviously, we are on a little bit of a time constraint simply because I'm going to go and see Ant-Man, as you all know by now. So, Matt, do you want to whiz through the show and sort of highlight the things that we need to see?
1000%, brother. I'm going to run through this quick because I know you need to get going. Lady C and Rena. Lady C gets the win with the I'm Ready Blue Thunder style powerbomb, 3 1/4 stars. Yuna versus Hina. Yuna wins with the Supergirl pinning combination, 3 1/4 stars. Match number 3, Tam Natsupoi Waka versus Sherry Mirai Amisori. You know how that goes. Waka's in the match. God love her. She eats a bunch of lariats and a Blue Thunder powerbomb from Amisori, 3.5 stars. Match number 4, this is a match that I think that you would thoroughly enjoy, Mr. Rob Goodwin, because I know you're a big fan of the team of Sai, Ida, and Hana, known as Wingori. And yes, they do come out to Hana's theme.
Of course.
Versus the team of Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May, who Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa are really gelling so well, so fast as a tag team. I had this at 3 3/4 stars. Is really good finish with Mina just really attacking Hana's leg. And the match was really good, but you have to watch how Mina gets into the figure 4 at one part in this match. I've never seen it before. It just blew my mind. It's not the ending spot in the figure 4, but how she sets up like the first one. So it's about a 10-minute match. Definitely go and see this match, Rob. It's like I said, it was really good, but the way Mina just sets up the figure 4 and how she gets into one of the variations of the figure 4 is like, I've never seen that before, and I've seen at least 50 wrestling matches in my lifetime. So that was really good. I'll get to the co-main event in a second because that was just a must-see match. The main event was a all of Oedo Tai versus all of DDM. Basically, it was like a huge, big brawl between the two teams. You get some really good My Himi tag stuff in there, which I thought was really, really good. And Micah, just if you're a big fan of Saki Kashima getting her ass kicked, you will love the final 60 seconds of this match because she eats lariat sandwiches and one of the most disgusting Micah Michinoku drivers, but she was safe. You can tell Micah protected her. It was pretty well disgusting, but in a good way. But that match, what did I have it at? At 3 3/4 stars. Now, I want to talk about the match that you definitely need to see. The semi-main event, Momo Kogo, Mayu Iwatani, Hazuki, and Koguma taking on Miyu Amasaki, and then, My Heart, Saya Kamatani, Utami, and Azumi. Now, Stardom goes out of their way to tell you if something is like a celebration. This match, Rob, took place on Mayu's birthday.
Of course it did.
I'm only going to give you the bits and pieces of this match because I do want you to go see this. So I'm just going to kind of give you the outline. So Utami and Mayu are going to start the match. So it's like, okay, I'm already up for this match, right? Because it's Stardom, 2, it's these 8 ladies, it's these 2 factions. So now we're going to get Mayu and Utami to start, and it's Mayu's birthday. Utami takes the rose that she usually gives to the crowd and goes to Mayu, happy birthday. Mayu is so happy. She takes the rose. She turns to her corner where Hazuki, Koguma, and Momo Kogo are. And she's like, basically says like, look, Utami gave me the rose. Utami comes behind her and launches her with a German suplex. It's the first spot. It's Mayu's birthday. It's the first. I mean, just launches poor Mayu with this released German suplex. I was like, oh, geez. Like, I think like Kawada came out and was like, hey, it's a work, kid. Like, holy geez. So that's how the match starts. My note is Utami launches Mayu back into 90s All Japan with a German suplex. And the fact that it's Mayu, she's so happy she's got this rose for her birthday. Utami's like, I'm going to drop you right on your head on the opening spot. What we get in this match is we get almost like a mini Aphrodite versus FWC match. We get some really, really awesome Azumi, Mayu, Utami high speed stuff. Because we forget, as great as Mayu is, we're like, oh, that's right. She's like one of the longest reigning high speed champions ever. So like her, you get like a mini high speed match with her and Azumi. Momo Kogo and Miyu Amasaki, the spots they had them in was really, really good. Saya Kamatani gets a little bit of revenge on Hazuki from 2 nights before, because you know how Saya likes to do the schoolboy suplex. Well, she does a schoolboy suplex and she just launches like Hazuki and drops her right on her head. It's basically like, well, if my tag partner's gonna be launching people from stars on her head, I'm gonna do the same. Yeah, definitely. And then there's just really awesome like sequence with Momo Kogo and Saya Kamatani, where it's just like Saya Kamatani gives Momo Kogo quite a bit, where she doesn't need to. Eventually, though, Saya Kamatani gets the win with the Star Crusher on Momo Kogo. This was probably my favorite match of the two shows. I had it at 4.25 stars. Definitely go out of your way to see this match. If for not one thing, if you totally disagree with me on the match, again, it's your opinion, but just to watch poor Mayu. It's her birthday. She's so happy she gets this rose. And 2 seconds later, she's on the back of her head. And we shouldn't be laughing because we love Mayu, but it's Mayu. You know what I mean? Like, who else would that be funny to? You know, God bless her. But overall, the show was really good. But definitely go out of your way to see the 8-person match that I just said, and then the Mariah May Mina Shirakawa versus Wing Gory match. Those, if you're gonna watch 2 matches of the show, definitely watch those 2. But please watch that 8-person tag. It was so good.
I'll definitely watch it and let you know, Matt. Definitely sounds like my cup of tea. So the 2 shows that we have got fully announced are the aforementioned Stardom in Showcase Volume 4, which we'll be talking about in a second, and of course the pay-per-view on the 4th of March, which will see the final of the Triangle Derby. So I did, Matt, very, very briefly think that this Stardom in Showcase show from the 26th of February, Kobe International Exhibition Hall number 2 in Kobe. It's a cheering show, by the way. Both of these shows are cheering. I did think, this card seems to be a little bit more serious. And then I realized that the opening match is Women's Pro Wrestling Decisive number 1 Muscles Battle between Saya Ida and Chan Yota. Basically, the rules are that there are 3 parts to this match. The first one is an arm wrestling match. Then there is a pro wrestling match, and then there's a pose down. In the order of these 3 events are to be determined on the day. So, potentially not quite as serious as I first thought. Though, the rest of it, very, very intriguing. We also have a 3-way 9-woman tag team scramble match between the team of Mayu, Hazuki, and Koguma taking on Utami Hayashishita, Saya Kamatani, and Miyu Amasaki, and the team of Natsukatora, Momo Watanabe, and Starlight Kid, with the tagline being that these are all Stardom homegrown talent. We then got, I couldn't really call it a person or a woman tag team match because you'll see in a moment. So I've called it a 6-entity tag team match with the Grim Reapers taking on the Super Strong Stardom Machine, Super Strong Stardom Giant Machine, and a mystery partner. Very interestingly, we've got a Captain's Fall tag team match with Captain Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, and Saki taking on Captain Waka Tsukiyama, Mina Shirakawa, and Mariah May. So keep an eye out for that. When we talked earlier about how this show is starting to work on the actual bigger Stardom product, this is what I'm talking about. We've got a Falls Count Anywhere match with Azumi versus Hanan versus Momoka Hanazano versus Natsu Sumire. The semi-main at the moment, again, card subject to change, is a UWF rules match between Syuri and Saki Kashima. Now, this must be finished via giving up, tapping out, knockout, TKO, doctor's stoppage, or seconds towel thrown in, or a point system. So both wrestlers are going to start on 5 points. 1 point is lost for being taken down or using the ropes to escape. The first wrestler to go to 0 points will, of course, lose the match. And then our main event, I can't see this not being the main event, is a hardcore rules match. Julia, Himeka, and Maika taking on Prominence. It's one of those matches that Himeka was desperate to have, some sort of hardcore match against Risa Serra. So there we are. Matt, in terms of the wider world of Stardom in Showcase shows, where does this sit for you? Obviously, that Captain's Fall tag team match could have huge ramifications going forward, depending on where we go with it. Maybe we'll find out who the Grim Reapers are, who knows, and what type of machine are we going to get next?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, a lot of these matches, they look a little bit better than some of the other ones. Rob, one of my favorite wrestling matches of all time is Ricky Steamboat versus Ric Flair from Clash of the Champions, 2 out of 3 falls. So the Chan Yoda versus Saida 2 out of 3 falls match, I'll be grading on the Flair Steamboat and the Okada Omega 2 out of 3 falls. That's the scale I'm going to be grading that on. So I know one match got 5 stars in the Wrestling Observer, the other match got 7 stars. So I'm assuming probably maybe 6.25 stars I'm expecting for the arm wrestling, and super pose down, brother, match between Chan Yoda and Saida. In all seriousness, that match should be a lot of fun. The wrestling match, I think, will be really good. The gimmicky stuff, because of Stardom and Showcase, I will have a laugh. But yeah, what I'm thinking is going to be the main event, the DDM versus Prominence hardcore match. That should be brutal and fun. But no, I'm really looking forward to the show. Again, I hope it's on Stardom World in a decent amount of time. But like for a Stardom and Showcase, I'm looking forward to this one more than some of the other ones.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to that Captain's Fall match. That 4-way should be very, very good. The fact that we're seeing Natsu Sumire return, I'm very excited to see that. And you know what? That 3-way 9-woman tag team scramble match should be okay as well. And then, of course, that I'm interested to see how they do the UWF rules match, because when they sort of dabbled in that before with Shiori and Konami, it was a really, really, really good match at Tokyo Super Wars. So I'm intrigued to see how they do it with Saki, because this is like a full UWF rules match. So
That's my cup of tea. I'm a huge, as I mentioned the earlier beginning of the show, I'm a huge fan of that shoot style. I love Saki Kashima, but like what? Like she's definitely afraid of Shuri. So obviously Shuri's the person to go to for these UWF style matches, obviously because of her MMA and shoot style background. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that comes up, but I wouldn't be shocked if this is like one that ends in like 8 seconds with like a head kick knockout.
Oh, it'd be amazing. And then, of course, on the 4th of March, we've got the Triangle Derby Championship Battle, another cheering show from Yoyogi National Stadium, second gymnasium from Tokyo. And the full card has been announced and is as follows. These 2 first matches are billed as being on the pre-show, but whether they actually are, we will see. So a 3-way match, Miyu Amasaki versus Hina versus Rina, and then our second pre-show match is a tag team match, Utami Hayashishita and Lady C versus Ram Kai Chao and Maika Ozaki. The main card, we've got a 10-woman tag, Stars, Mayu Iwatani, Koguma, Momo Kogo, Sairida, and Hanan versus the Ueda Tai team of Natsuka Tora, Momo Watanabe, Fukigen Death, Ruaka, and Saki Kashima. We follow that with a 6-woman tag, the Donna Del Mondo team of Maika, Mei Sakurai, and Tekla, taking on the Cosmic Angels team of Mina Shirakawa, Waka Tsukiyama, and Mariah May, though Mariah May's not really in Cosmic Angels. We've then got the 2 semi-finals for the Triangle Derby, 7-Up versus Prominence, and Aberembo God's Eye versus Cosmic Angels. And then, of course, we obviously have the final with the 2 winners of those semi-finals meeting in the final. We've then got a singles match, Himika versus Chihiro Hashimoto. A high-speed championship match, Azumi the champion versus Starlight Kid. Wonder of Stardom Championship match, Saya Kamatani the champion taking on the challenger Hazuki, and World of Stardom Championship match, Julia the champion taking on Maya Yukihi. Now, we mentioned this before, Matt. Considering this is effectively somewhat of a B-level pay-per-view, we have been very, very spoiled with the card they've produced.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously next week we'll give the full preview of this show. But yeah, I mean this is spoiled. I mean we are so between the 3 Triangle Derby matches, no matter which way these brackets end up, excuse me, you're gonna get 3 fantastic matches. Hashimoto and Himika is gonna be great. Azumi and Starlight Kid, no way that's gonna be bad. I'm really excited to see Julia and Mayuguchi, because you're really, giving Maya, who was, again, relatively unknown to the Stardom fans, a huge shot in the arm here. But the one match I'm looking forward to the most, clearly, Saya Kamatani defending the Wonder of Stardom Championship against Suzuki. But let me ask you this, Rob. What match do you think goes on last? I mean, this is your finals of your first Triangle Derby tournament, so I can see them putting that on last. There was back in, handful of years ago, it wasn't uncommon for the white belt to main event over the red belt, especially in a lot of the Momo Watanabe Wonder of Stardom title defenses. Now, they haven't done it in quite some time, but to me, if you're asking me what goes on last for this show, I think it should be Saya versus Suzuki.
I do think it'll be Julia versus Mayu.
I think that's what they're going to do. Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do. But I think, in my preference, I think the match that's having the most steam on it is Hazuki and Saya.
I think that's just because that's the match you're most excited for. I think you could make a legitimate case for 4 of these matches main eventing. You could, obviously, this is the show to crown the first Triangle Derby champion, so maybe the final will go on last. Obviously, we saw the Gold Rush tournament match. That went on to main event the Gold Rush show rather than the Red Belt match, and that was Utami versus Syuri. So whether that goes on last and Julia versus Mai Yukihi, which, of course, we all anticipate Julia winning, maybe that'll be your semi-main, but, I mean, you could see Azumi versus Starlight Kid main eventing. Of course, this is Azumi's chance to break that defense record that Mayu Iwatani has held for so long. If she wins against Starlight Kid, she goes to 10 successful title defenses, and what a way to do it against your forever rival in Starlight Kid. Hazuki versus Saya Kamatani, you obviously have the chance to, the hype that match has, and obviously how good that match is going to be. Obviously, yes, that can be a main event as well. So you have a lot of matches that could main event. Matt's absolutely right. Of course, we will preview this match this card in full next week, where we will also be reviewing Stardom in Showcase and the show from Wakizama. Is it Wakizama? I think it's Wakizama. I've written it's auto-corrected to Wakiyama.
Say it with confidence, buddy.
We are going to be, I think it's Wakiyama, and I think I'm just getting confused because of Wakasukiyama.
And Yoshihiro Takayama. So
exactly.
I love it.
It's one of those where I'm just like, I will say one show. But yeah, we'll be reviewing that. Obviously, we'll be reviewing, like I said, Stardom in Showcase Volume 4, and we'll be previewing that Triangle Derby tournament, giving our predictions as to who we think is going to win. A little nugget before that, though. I think I'm putting my cards on the table. The winner, whoever wins in that semi-final between Aberembo, God's Eye, and Cosmic Angels, I think they win the tournament. So, just remember that. I don't know who that's going to be yet. You'll have to tune in next week to find out. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. We really, really do appreciate it. Thank you to all of our patrons for subscribing over at patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. If you want to support the podcast but can't afford Patreon or don't want to support us on Patreon, that's absolutely fine. If you could leave us a 5-star review and a comment on Apple Podcasts, that really helps us out. It's a completely free way of helping us out as well. It just helps us to fire up those podcast ratings. Apparently, we are a very popular podcast in Norway. Who knew? So, hello if you're listening to us in Norway. But yeah, you can subscribe to us on any podcast app. If you want to check out the website, where I'll be putting up all of the results for the Triangle Derby in the next couple of days. All of the title defenses and everything are updated. And obviously, you can listen to all of the archived podcasts as well. Go and check out www.thestardomcast.com. You can talk to us on Twitter or indeed any other social media at the Stardom Cast. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. And Matt, tell us where they can find you and then sign us off, good sir.
Absolutely, sir. You guys can get a hold of me on Twitter and or the Instagram, Matt Turner OF. Just send me a DM. If social media is not your thing and you want to go to the email, the StardomCast22@gmail.com is the best way to get a hold of me through email. So that will do it for us, folks. I'm excited to hear what Rob thinks about the one Ant-Man and Mayu Iwatani's birthday match. So excited for that. Again, folks, thanks a million for all the support. We can't do this without you. Greatly appreciate it. Because like I always say, just not my podcast. It's our podcast because we're all in this together and everybody's different. Everybody's special.